6 yuan an hour. The market is not good this year, and all of them are 6 yuan. You can do it or not, but all of them are 6 yuan. In July 2025, a storm of public outrage broke out over the summer job market in the Pearl River Delta of Guangdong, China. Many media outlets reported that the hourly wage for student summer jobs had dropped sharply, with some places offering as little as 6 yuan per hour, about 84 cents US. Photos shared online show many stores offering jobs at that same rate. Other places are only slightly higher, 8.9 yuan an hour. In one video, a person filming a hiring sign says, "It's 6 yuan per hour."
How much do you make a month?
I'm temporary.
So just working a few days?
Yeah, not sure how many. I work about 4 hours a day.
How much per hour?
About 1,000 yuan a month.
So about 8.25 yuan an hour?
That's right.
Any days off?
No, we work every day.
Some people said they had done 9 yuan per hour jobs before, but the workload was overwhelming.
Summer break is here, and I'm looking for work. Even small electronic factories are doing this. 9 yuan an hour. What can you do with 9 yuan an hour? Nothing. Today I worked an hour for nothing. The production line was crazy fast. Workers couldn't keep up. For that much work, just 9 yuan an hour? These factories and labor agencies are taking advantage of students. They push the rate down to 9 yuan an hour. I'm not doing that again.
Another video from Zhongshan's denim industrial zone warned students not to come to Guangdong just to experience life. He said factories were only offering 9 per hour, which doesn't match the high cost of living in the region. The zone has 18 buildings, each with 10 floors, enough space for at least 180 factories. But empty parking lots and few people suggest many have shut down or reduced operations. He pointed out how powerless workers are. Employers say, take it or leave it. That shows how little room workers have to negotiate. He kept repeating that the summer work environment in Guangdong is nothing like it used to be. Another person complained that jobs with slightly higher hourly pay often come with unbearable workloads and a high risk of being fired.
We went into one factory today in Guangdong. They promised us 12 yuan an hour to make phone cases. We worked all morning. Before we could even eat lunch, the supervisor started pointing fingers, saying we were too slow, and told us not to come back in the afternoon. There were 7 or 8 of us swinging hammers nonstop. Our arms were sore, and they still said we were too slow? What kind of scam is this?
Ironically, Guangdong's official minimum wage for part-time work is 22.2 yuan per hour for cities like Guangzhou and Shenzhen, and 18.1 yuan in places like Zhuhai and Dongguan. The reality of these jobs falls far below legal standards, and even below the pay from over a decade ago. In the early 2010s, factory workers in the region could expect 12 to 15 yuan an hour. Now, wages have regressed to single digits. Mr. Chen, who works in a furniture factory in Shenzhen, put it bluntly, "If you can't make at least 3,000 yuan a month, you're better off going home to farm, raise chickens and ducks, at least you can survive." His words echoed the feelings of many workers. In the high-cost Pearl River Delta, 9 yuan an hour can't cover rent, let alone food, entertainment, or savings. Mr. Zheng from Dongguan said the 9 yuan rate was just not realistic. Even for summer jobs, he said, 11 yuan an hour should be the minimum. But reality is harsh. Even at these low wages, people are still lining up for work. Some local reporters found that many workers on these low wages had actually been tricked into coming.
These shady agencies will promise you 12 yuan an hour just to get you to come. But once you arrive, they say, "Oh, that factory's full. I'll arrange another one for you. But it only pays 6, 7, 8, or 9 yuan. What can you do? You're already there." A lot of people get tricked like this. You can't go home. You don't even have travel money. And reporting it to the police doesn't help. They lure you in. And once you're there, they make their commission. If you stay for a month, you might earn a few hundred yuan. That's it.
An informed source revealed that some people lacking return travel funds reluctantly accepted the trap arrangement. They were even transferred multiple times by intermediaries and ended up with wages that were far lower than expected when it came time to settle. Li Yun, a college student, found a summer job in an electronics factory in Guangzhou. She found the job via a recruitment app. The ad promised a wage of 13 to 15 yuan per hour, with food and accommodation included. She and her roommate rushed there overnight, but when she arrived, she found the hourly wage had been lowered by the intermediary to 8 to 9 yuan. Additionally, promises of light work and provided meals and housing were all cancelled, and her attempts to defend her rights were met with difficulty. One online commenter remarked, "China has truly surpassed Europe and the US in deceiving the public. The tactics they use are world-class." Another user pointed out, "Such outrageous behavior can't be separated from the failure and corruption of the authoritarian system's social governance." The issue of extremely low wages sparked heated discussions online. Some netizens criticized the labor market, saying it seemed to be reverting to the year 2000, and accused companies of exploiting student workers. They demanded intervention from relevant authorities. Some suggested that students would be better off helping their parents with farm work, as it would be better than earning just 9 yuan an hour. However, others argued that it was a matter of choice. If students didn't want the work, they could simply not take it, and it wasn't forced labor. However, what is even more concerning is that this low-wage crisis is not an isolated incident. A report by Caixin revealed that a vocational school graduate from Jiangxi working in Dongguan's Tangsha town admitted that his income this year was only half of what it was last year. In the past, the summer job market in the Pearl River Delta relied on the combination of free meals and accommodation plus 14 yuan an hour. This deal attracted a large number of students from other provinces, even having vocational schools organize school internships. Today, however, factory recruitment ads are scarce, and the once bustling industrial zones are now quiet. Container trucks are fewer, and assembly lines have stopped. Mr. Chen recalled, "There used to be containers coming every day. Now it's rare to see one or two." It seems that the factories in the Pearl River Delta have lost their former vibrancy overnight. The current low-wage crisis in the Pearl River Delta brings to mind the pain of state-owned enterprise reform in the 1990s. At that time, a large number of workers were laid off due to the privatization of state-owned enterprises. Today, factories in the Pearl River Delta are closing, and orders are disappearing, leading to a new wave of layoffs. The difference is that, unlike in the 1990s, when the workers were mostly low-skilled employees from state-run enterprises, today's victims include many highly educated young people. So why is the economy in Guangdong's Pearl River Delta region beginning to regress? The first factor is the loss of orders and the restructuring of the global supply chain. The economic decline in the Pearl River Delta is closely related to the changes in the global economic landscape. As a major foreign trade province in China, Guangdong's manufacturing industry relies heavily on export orders, especially from the European and American markets. However, in recent years, many companies have moved their production bases to Southeast Asian countries such as Vietnam and India, where labor costs are much lower than in China. For example, factory workers in Vietnam earn about 4 to 6 yuan per hour, while even the reduced 9 yuan per hour in the Pearl River Delta is still hard to compete with. In addition, geopolitical factors have exacerbated this trend. Since the US-China trade war, some Western companies have pushed for decoupling from China, shifting orders to friendly countries like Vietnam, Malaysia, and Mexico. The Wall Street Journal reported that tech giants like Intel and HP have moved some of their production lines to these countries. In the face of external pressure, tariffs have become another heavy burden on the Pearl River Delta manufacturing industry. Since the escalation of the US-China trade dispute, the US has implemented multiple rounds of tariff increases on Chinese imports. In April of this year, after President Trump imposed tariffs of up to 245% on Chinese imports, China responded by significantly raising its tariffs. A temporary truce was reached between the two countries to allow time for negotiations. During this period, the Trump administration maintained a high 30% tariff on Chinese goods, along with the previous 25%. As a result, the comprehensive tariff rate on Chinese goods has now risen to 55%, and this rate will remain in place until the deadline of August 12. Additionally, the European Union has imposed anti-dumping or anti-subsidy tariffs of up to 74.9% on various Chinese products. These layers of tariffs directly raise the cost for Guangdong's export companies, leading to a massive relocation of factory orders, reduced production, and a sharp decrease in available jobs. In other words, although Guangdong's exporters loudly claim that the US-China trade agreement has exempted some tariffs, the reality is that most mid to low-end parts and consumer goods are still not exempt. To maintain profits, companies can only resort to cutting costs and increasing efficiency, the most direct method being to lower labor costs. Another issue is the mismatch between the industry and human resources, with highly skilled workers not matching the entry-level manufacturing positions. In the past, the Pearl River Delta attracted a large amount of low-skilled labor through low-end manufacturing. However, as the industry has moved toward high-end manufacturing and modern services, entry-level positions on factory assembly lines are increasingly being replaced by automation or outsourcing. Meanwhile, emerging roles in new media operations, AI data labeling, and 3D modeling demand higher professional skills. A survey of summer jobs in Guangzhou for 2025 showed an increased demand for student workers in new retail, education, and exhibition industries, but the hourly wages for these positions varied greatly. Ordinary order dispatchers are only 18 yuan per hour, about $2 US, while technical roles like 3D modeling can pay up to 120 yuan per hour, about $16.70. This has led to a clear mismatch between people and jobs. Traditional manual labor positions are shrinking, with wages far below the cost of living, offering little attraction to most job seekers. Meanwhile, technical positions that match qualifications are few and far between, leaving many high-skilled talents with no place to apply their skills. Faced with this dilemma, many graduates prefer to work in flexible jobs like food delivery or ride-sharing instead of factory jobs. A report from Voice of America found that among the food delivery workers for Meituan in Guangzhou, 30% have a bachelor's degree or higher. Some even have master's or PhD degrees but are still delivering food. Unable to find internships or entry-level positions related to their field of study, they're forced to make do in the food delivery industry, earning less than 20 yuan per hour. On the other hand, businesses are also reluctant to take on the training costs for highly educated workers. As Mr. Chen from Shenzhen pointed out, the factories would rather hire exhausted migrant workers than give inexperienced college graduates a chance to make mistakes. Graduates, in turn, are generally unwilling to accept starting salaries lower than 25 to 40 yuan per hour, leading to significant vacancies in mid-level positions. They neither want to work on the assembly line nor qualify for technical roles, which results in a disconnect between high-quality talent and entry-level manufacturing jobs in the Pearl River Delta. To reverse the situation, Guangdong has held a spring job fair to help migrant workers and college graduates find jobs near their homes. However, despite the grand plans for the job fair, its actual impact has been limited, and it's difficult to reverse the trend of fewer factory orders. The government's slogan of high-quality development starkly contrasts with the reality of low hourly wages. This has led many young people to increasingly doubt the system's promises, preferring to lie flat or seek flexible jobs rather than believe the old adage of hard work leading to success. Additionally, internal policies that reduce job opportunities are also a significant cause of economic difficulties facing the area. From 2020 to 2022, the Chinese government's strict zero-COVID policy dealt a severe blow to the economy of the region. According to Radio Free Asia, many small and medium-sized export manufacturers in Shenzhen's Futian district openly admitted in interviews that orders from America and Europe have stopped. Everything has come to a halt. Workers wait helplessly outside the factories. Small and medium-sized enterprises in major manufacturing cities like Dongguan, Huizhou, and Foshan were forced to lay off workers, suspend production, or even close their businesses due to cash flow issues. The shutdowns directly led to a significant loss of jobs. According to Caijing magazine, during this period, labor demand in the textile, consumer goods, and electronics manufacturing sectors in the Pearl River Delta plummeted by 30% to 40%. Even in 2023, when restrictions were gradually eased, the market demand failed to recover. With the order recovery rate at less than 50%, small factories that had broken their cash flow were continuously closing. The shadow of the pandemic continues to deeply affect Guangdong's manufacturing and service industries. Ironically, the government's policies to stabilize the economy have often been superficial. The Guangdong provincial government's 2025 work report promised to promote sustained economic recovery, but the actual impact has been limited. Official data shows that Guangdong's GDP grew by 3.5% in 2024, missing the 5% target. Local governments have been eager to inflate GDP figures through infrastructure projects and adjustments in statistical standards. However, they have been unable to change the reality of fewer factory orders and declining worker wages. Professor Li Kongyue from Sun Yat-sen University pointed out that the 940 million people in China earn less than 2,000 yuan a month. The low-wage crisis in the Pearl River Delta has further widened the income gap. In 2024, the average annual salary in Guangdong's urban non-private sector was 135,400 yuan, while in the private sector it was only 81,000 yuan, a significant difference. High-income groups are concentrated in industries like finance and technology, while low-end manufacturing workers and students are seeing their income stagnate or even decrease. This inequality not only causes social discontent, but also shakes young people's trust in the value of hard work. Experts also believe that the difficulties in the Pearl River Delta reflect the imbalance in China's regional economy. In the first quarter of 2025, Guangdong's GDP grew by 4.1%, while Guangzhou's growth was just 3%. In contrast, provinces like Sichuan have benefited from the relocation of industries, highlighting Guangdong's loss of competitive advantage in the new round of economic competition. This regional imbalance may further exacerbate employment pressures in Guangdong, forcing more young people to leave the Pearl River Delta, return to inland areas, or move to Southeast Asia in search of opportunities. A 9 yuan hourly wage is not just a number. It symbolizes the economic regression of the Pearl River Delta and is just the tip of the iceberg in China's structural economic crisis. Once known as the world's factory, Guangdong is now facing unprecedented difficulties due to the dual blows of global supply chain restructuring and internal policy failures.